The Swiss stage of VCT Masters Toronto is almost over. We have 2 more matches remaining, but it's time to talk about the past 4 matches that we've seen on Monday and Tuesday. And there were some pretty surprising results. Some teams that people thought would go far, or at least have a good chance in the Swiss stage, going out quite early. And some teams that haven't done great at internationals before, having pretty solid tournaments so far, mostly out of China. So we're here to recap those past 4 matches. Let's jump right into it. So this is the board we have today. We will be starting with talking about the Monday matches, starting with Sentinels versus Bilibili Gaming, probably the best match out of the past 2 days. This was a highly contested game, Bilibili doing quite well against Sentinels. Bilibili historically against America's teams actually does quite good, mostly against Gen.G, but Sentinels are a very good team, and after going down in that first map, they were able to recover and have some really solid performances on maps 2 and 3. So they avoid getting knocked down to the lower side of Swiss, but it definitely was not easy. A lot of people saying that Sentinels were just farming Chinese teams for the past couple days. Listen, I understand that Chinese teams have not been the best in tournaments before, and I did personally rate BLG quite low heading into this tournament, but this was definitely not a free win for Sentinels. They had to fight for this one. Case in point, map 1. This one did end up going in Bilibili's favor, 13-9. This was Icebox being Bilibili's pick, and BLG did win that first pistol. Very strong start. They get to a 3-0 lead, but Sentinels do take some rounds back. Sentinels getting their first off of a 2v2 win for Gen.G. However, BLG would take that momentum right back, and they have a 4-round win streak. Round 8, Rusha has a crazy play. He takes Somali and he gets a 2k after it. Very good play. BLG having some really good hero plays from some of their top players. The map is kind of slipping away from Sentinels at this point. BLG is definitely playing a lot better, but round 10, there's a nice 3k from Gen.G. He does die through a smoke, but Zelsis and Bane were able to recover the round for Sentinels and win this one. However, round 11, Rushia with another great play. He closes out round 11 with 3 kills, and we end the half 8-4 in favor of Bilibili. In the second half, BLG would win their defense side pistol. Round 18, Bane kills YZ, who was playing very well during this match. Bane gets him through a smoke. There's a 3v3 on site with a Viper's Pit. Zelsis shuts down the flake. Narrate kills Levius. Round 18, very good round from Sentinels. Round 20, Sentinels almost tie the game, but they can't quite finish the round. Solid retake from Bilibili would prevent that from happening. Round 21, Sentinels get caught on an A push. Bilibili's on map point, and round 22 would prove to be the final round of this map. Zelsis did have a really good fake onto A. He gets a frag while Sen just sneak onto B. However, Bilibili do end up having a very strong retake to close this one out before Sentinels could get to double digits. Rusha being the top player in terms of rating for Bilibili Gaming, he had 23 kills. He was plus 10. I also want to point out that the previous BLG match, they were calling him Russia, but then they were saying Rushia in this one. So I know people get mad at me for getting the players' names wrong, but hey man, even the casters get a run sometimes. I am not perfect, and with these stupid gamer tags that sometimes are just a collection of random characters, I'm not going to blame myself for getting a couple names wrong. But so let me know in the comments if you know the proper way to pronounce his name, but for this video, we're going with Rusha. 4 separate players on Sentinels tied at 13 kills, so no one really having a great performance on this map, but Zelsis was technically the best in rating. However, moving on to Sunset, this would be a much better game from Sentinels. 13-5 being that final scoreline. Bilibili would win that first pistol, however, so BLG winning every pistol up until this point. There was some nice timing from Neff to get a 2k during that round. Sen would get their first round at round 3. Gen.G with a nice 4k in market. Round 5, Zekin got 2 outlaw kills on B, preventing that Bilibili push. 2 flawless rounds in a row from Sentinels, looking much better from that first map. BLG would have a timeout. Round 7, YZ does get a lucky kill onto Bane. He ults, he gets 2 more. Zelsis is left alone, he has to save. Round 10, Bilibili get onto B after killing Zekin. There's a solid post plant with some kills through a smoke. A bit of a lucky round for Bilibili, but they do tie the game. Round 11, there's some bad timing from Zelsis mid, but Zekin bails out Sentinels with a nice dash onto site. So it's 7-5 at the half, so a pretty close game so far, but Sentinels in the driver's seat. Then for that second pistol, Sentinels would finally get their first. BLG would have the advantage early in that pistol round, but Bane and Zelsis were able to get it done for Sen. Absolutely massive round for Sentinels. That would give them the momentum to win this one, because they would go flawless on their attack side, winning 6 rounds in a row. Round 17, Rusha with a cheeky angle kill on B. Sentinels end up rotating, but there's not a lot of time left. They plant with, I think, was 0.30 seconds left or something like that. But despite them rotating, Narrate still gets the kills on B, so the B site did end up being open, but they were already rotating, so those kills were impactful for sure, but ended up being kind of useless in the end. Absolutely hilarious round there. Sentinels get that one. Round 18, Bilibili can't stop the B push from Sentinels. YZ almost has a really good highlight reel play, but he can't quite get the 3K before Zekken kills him. This one is over. YZ top fragging for Bilibili Gaming with 16 kills. He's had a really good tournament so far. On the side of Sentinels, a lot of good performances, but Zekken being plus 12, he had 20 kills. That was the best performance. Moving on to map 3, we have Lotus. This one ended up being a 13-9 win in favor of Sentinels. During the pistol, Neff and K-Knight die on A. Zelsis and Narrate able to finish the pistol round for Sentinels. However, round 2, pretty bad round from Sentinels here. Rusha gets on site at C. Zekken dies near B from Levius. Zelsis alone during the post plant. BLG get that thrifty win. So that kind of swings the momentum back in favor of Bilibili. However, both teams trade rounds. Round 7, there's a fight on B. Bilibili have numbers. There's a 2v1 with John QT as the one. He does die. Round 9, there's a 2v3 in favor of Sentinels, but YZ has an op. He turns it into a 1v1, and he ends up clutching it out with the shorty kill. Yet another very strong play from YZ there. He had a lot of those. Round 10, Sentinels stop the A push from Bilibili, but they do get some kills. It's Neff in a 1v3. He gets one, but not the other. Almost a sick clutch, but they do not get it done. Sentinels win that round. Round 11, Bilibili plant B. YZ holds the site. He gets a sick collateral with the op. Zelsis does end up needing to just save on that one. However, that would kind of awaken the beast in Zelsis for the next couple rounds because he looked awesome after this. The very next round to end the half, he gets a 3K on C. Rusha plants, but he dies 7 of 5 in favor of Bilibili. So Bilibili with the lead, but it's only 2 rounds. Sentinels on a map that they're familiar with, and they start that second half strong. Very good pistol from them. After some gunfights, it ends up being a 1v1 on C with Zelsis and K-Knight. Zelsis ends up clutching it. That is a second 3K in a row. Round 17, Zekken ults and gets a kill, but Bilibili counter it with a fade ult. Really solid retake from Bilibili there. Very needed round for them. Round 19, K-Knight shuts down Zekken and the rest of Sentinels on B, 10-9 for Sentinels. It's very close. However, round 21, Sen gets some big kills on C to get them the plant. Zekken gets 2, nothing Rusha can do. Huge round for Sentinels. Round 22 would prove to be that final round. Rusha would kill Bane, but a missed raise ult from YZ would be pretty devastating for Bilibili. Sentinels almost miss out on the plant to time, but Zekken does get 3 kills, one with an ult to end this one. Sentinels are going to playoffs. Levius being the top rated player for Bilibili Gaming here, 13 kills, he was +1. Zekken leading the way yet again for Sentinels, 23 kills, he was +10. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of Sentinels, we have Zekken who went 56, 38, and 13 for +18. On the side of Bilibili, we have YZ who went 53, 47, and 6 for +6. For pistols, it was 3 apiece for each team. Bilibili winning the first 3 pistols, Sentinels winning the last 3. For eco round, Sentinels won 3, Bilibili would win 4. Half buy, Sentinels with 11 wins on a half buy, 6 for BLG. And for those full buys, 21 wins for Sentinels, 17 for BLG. So really hard fought game from Bilibili. They were coming off of a win against Team Liquid, but still some questions after beating a team that didn't have Nats. But I think they proved that they are looking pretty good in this tournament so far. They are going up against a regional opponent for their next match in Wolves, so we'll see if they can win that one again. I think they probably can. I think they're looking just a little bit better than Wolves. And for Sentinels, really solid Swiss stage for them. They're looking quite dangerous. Yes, they lost a map, but it's not a big deal. BLG played well. We'll see what they do when we get to that playoff bracket. Moving on to the second game of the Monday, we have a bit more of a lopsided one, Gen.G versus Paper X. Gen.G establishing dominance over the regional matchup. They did this earlier in stage 1, beating out Paper X to be able to make it to the grand final of the Pacific, where they would then lose to RRQ. Paper X hoping for some revenge here, and they did have a pretty good map 1. However, it was a pretty slow start for them. So as soon as they recovered, they looked a lot better. Almost tied the map, almost brought it into overtime, but as soon as Gen.G closed it out, it was basically just all Gen.G for the rest of it. Looking at map 1, we have Ascent, this one being Gen.G's pick. 13-11 the final score, but it looked like it was going to be a lot more lopsided at the start. As you can see from the VLR page, 7 rounds in a row from Gen.G. During the pistol, Forsaken would have some nice kills on A, but Foxy9 would win it for Gen.G. Round 4, there's a bad teleport from Forsaken to get him killed in his smoke. Textures just feasting on PRX, he gets a 4K, remember that for later. Round 5, just a terrible play from Something something, and Jane, they end up pushing out to try to get some surprise kills on Gen.G, and then they just both die, basically immediately, and Forsaken also pushes, but at least he gets a kill. However, he still dies as a 3v2 for Gen.G, and they win it pretty easily. So the W gaming style of play that PaperX play looked really disciplined in that game against Heretics. Against Gen.G, not so much. Round 6, we have a really funny clip of Texture getting his ace stolen by Charon, but keep in mind that anytime Texture gets an ace, Gen.G lose the game, so that's why he's Mr. 4K. Round 8, Forsaken gets some nice kills on A. Ashe ends up being in a 1v3. PaperX finally get their first round. Really slow start for them, but they would turn the tables, especially ending this game on attack. They string some nice rounds together. We get to round 12. Divine has a sick 3k with Gen.G trying to plant. Solid end to the half for PaperX, despite Charon getting a pretty useless 4k right as the round ended. At the start of the second half, Gen.G now on their defense side on a pretty defender-sided map, and Gen.G would win it. Going around 16, Texture dies while Sun Jane, nice satchel play. W Gaming in motion, very nice round from PaperX. Round 18, PaperX were on a bit of a streak, but Texture gets 2. He does waste his ult, doesn't get to use it, but there's a 1v1 with something in Foxy9, and Foxy9 ends up winning it. Round 20, Patman gets a really sick spray transfer to make it a 1v1 versus Texture, and he gets the flick and wins it. PaperX closing in on Gen.G's score. Round 21, bit of a missed opportunity here from PaperX. Jane misses his ult. PaperX tried to hold the site, but Foxy9 gets 2 kills and then sticks the defuse. Round 24 would prove to be the last round of this map. Ashe and Munchkin end up slowing down the push from PaperX. Turns into a 3v2 with the Gen.G advantage. Ends up being a 1v1 with Divine versus Charon, and Charon wins it. Gen.G win map 1. Forsaken leading the way for his team with kills with 22, but Jane with the best rating with 1.15. He had 19 kills. For Gen.G, who else but Texture in terms of kills and rating, 27 kills for him and a 1.32 rating. And then we have map 2, this one being PaperX's pick. Did not look like a good pick for them. 13-3 being this final score. Absolute domination by Gen.G here. We start with a flawless pistol round from Gen.G. Remember that for later. Round 3, PaperX would get their first one by getting a nice push onto B. However, that would not last very long. No streak for them as Munchkin gets an ace round 4. He caught PaperX just 1 by 1 on A. Very rough round for PaperX. Round 8 would be PaperX's second round win, thanks to a Viper Spit and some poor positioning by Gen.G. In round 12, PaperX with some really clean kills, something with a 3k with 9s. It's a 9-3 half. So maybe 9-3 curse? Nope. We would start the second half with yet another flawless pistol round from Gen.G. They catch PaperX on A. It's just absolute domination from the Korean team. Round 16, Gen.G are at match point. Texture with 2 right off rip. Jane gets 2, but he can't bring the round back. 13-3 would be the final score. This one is over. Patman being the top fragger out of PaperX with only 12 kills, and Texture with 18 kills. He was plus 12, probably the best performer out of this tournament so far. Looking at the team MVPs, who else but Texture? 45, 25, and 3 for plus 20. For PaperX, Jane 28, 32, and 9 for minus 4. In terms of pistols, 4-0 Gen.G, Ecos 4 wins from Gen.G, 0 for PaperX. Half buy 7 for Gen.G, 2 for PaperX, and full buy wins 15 for Gen.G, 12 for PaperX. So yet another Pacific matchup. A lot of people saying that these are the 2 best teams in the Swiss stage. Not really sure if I believe that when it comes to PaperX, especially considering that second map. But PaperX still have a chance to move on. I think at times they played well, but they need to play more like the team that played against Heretics than the team that played against Gen.G. Maybe they're able to take out a second EMEA team. They've done that in tournaments past. So we'll see what cards are in store for this team, and Gen.G will be in playoffs. Moving on to the third match we have to talk about, we have Wolves versus Team Heretics. I would consider this match to probably be the biggest upset of the tournament so far. Yes, I know Heretics had a terrible game against PaperX, but good teams have bad games sometimes. At least that's something that I was thinking going into this match, but Wolves played much better than Heretics in this one. Heretics looking like the same team that played against PaperX. It was not as lopsided of a score. Wolves did play well in their previous match against Sentinels, but Heretics, just knowing where that team has been before, they probably should have been able to win this one. However, they ended up looking like one of the worst teams in this tournament. They were the first to go out. A lot of question marks surrounding this team right now, but all credit to Wolves. They deserved this win. Looking at map 1, we have Pearl, this one being Wolves' pick. 13-10 would end up being that final score, and apparently Heretics on Pearl and just EMEA teams in general just don't go to Pearl. I guess that's something they have to do now. That's just a permaban for all European teams now. Anyways, jokes aside, Wolves would start this one strong. They win the pistol in the first 4 rounds. Round 5, Heretics finally get a good side hold and they get on the board. Round 8, Heretics get the plant, but Wolves get a really good retake to take back the round. Round 11, Sprain ends up getting a 3k. Wolves are just eating Heretics alive on that B site. Wolves would get 3 rounds in a row to end the half, the final round of the half, round 12. It's a 5v4 in favor of Heretics, but 4 quickly die from spams through smoke and just bad positioning. Woot is like running around trying to peek people while he's near a smoke, so it just gives away his position. It wasn't the worst play I've ever seen, but it's just bad spatial awareness. Ends up being 8-4 at the half, so still something that Heretics can come back from, but they really need to work for it. And they would work pretty hard on their defense half. Doesn't start well for them though. They lose that second pistol. During that round, Heretics kill Yui and Sprain. Juicy gets 1 link, catches Boo on a flank, 1v2 for Juicy, and Juicy ends up acing it. A crucial round that Heretics needed, and they don't get it. However, they would bounce back and win the next 2 rounds, so they steal the anti-eco from Wolves. Round 17, it's 10-6 from Wolves, and Mini Boo just does an interesting play. He uses his Yoru ult, he finds 2 players, he ends up following them as well as body blocking them, but then he follows them all the way to B-Lawn, he gets out of his ult, and then he just dies. He's just out in the open when he gets out of it, so why did he do that? Anyways, it doesn't really matter because Heretics do end up recovering the round, so they do get that crucial 7th round. Heretics are playing better now aside from some weird plays. Round 21, Gen.G Fishy would get 2, Woot gets a kill but dies on sight, and Heretics ends up winning that one. They're within 1 now. Round 22, close round, Woot gets 2, he pops his 9s, but then he dies. Mini Boo can't clutch the round for Heretics, and Wolves get to match point. So Heretics needing some big plays from their big players. What are they gonna do for this round? Well, the answer is try to cut them off at B, have both your duelists there, and have them both die. The round's basically over after that. There's some plays with some Astra walls, so the Heretics are blocked off. They use their own Astra wall. It doesn't matter. This one's over 13-10 for Wolves. Mini Boo and Woot tying for the most amount of kills, but I thought both players had pretty rough games at times. Case in point, Boo being technically the highest rated player. Don't really know how that works. But Sprain and Juicy doing amazing things for their team. Sprain with 24 kills, he was +10. Juicy with 21, he was +6. Moving on to map 2, Heretics in desperate need of a map win here. They hadn't won a map up until this point. It's do or die, and they start it by losing 6 rounds in a row. Pistol round, Wolves get the plant. Heretics have a decent retake, but Juicy just ends them. Fast forward to round 7, Heretics finally wake up and get a flawless round. Much better round from them. They really needed that, but might have just been too little too late. They lose round 8, then on round 9, Boo gets 2 on A, ends up being a 3v2 for Heretics. Heretics play it patiently and win the round. They would end the half by winning 4 rounds in a row. Solid round at round 12 as well. Juicy trades with his ult. Mini Boo gets 2. There's some chaos on C site, but Heretics end up winning it 7-5 in favor of Wolves. So they're just 2 rounds away. They're playing better, but they're just playing catch up the whole time. Heretics do have a nice push during pistol. Juicy gets some kills. He was just having quite the day. Lysor tries to stick it, but Gen.G pushes him and gets a jump shot to end him. So that would give Heretics the pistol. Very crucial round there, but again, Wolves are still in the driver's seat. After winning the anti-eco, round 15, Sprain just mows down Heretics on C, gets that 4k, huge round from Wolves to turn the tide. Round 17, there's some gunfights C, there's a nice flash from Lysor, and Wolves win that one as well. They were playing very well at this point. They won 4 rounds in a row, absolutely crushing Heretics. Wolves just playing with a lot of confidence, Heretics not playing with much. Round 21, it's 11-9 Wolves. Mini Boo gets a kill with his ult, but Heretics die. Gen.G can't clutch. It's match point for Wolves. Round 22, there's a Nano Swarm play that gets 2 players for Yuika. No idea how that happened. Don't know how Heretics ended up missing that one or getting caught in that, but ends up being a 2v4. Absolutely no way for Heretics to win this one. Ends up being a 1v3 with Gen.G Fishy. He can't win it. Wolves moves on. Heretics done in Toronto. TMV very happy for his Wolverhampton Wolves. Mini Boo, better map here than map 1, 19 kills for him, and some really solid play by 3 players on Wolves. I thought Sprain was probably the best player this map, but he was 3rd in rating. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of Wolves, we have Sprain, who went 44, 29, and 11 for +15. On the side of Team Heretics, we have Mini Boo, who went 36, 33, and 3 for +3. In terms of pistols, 3 wins for Wolves, 1 for Heretics. Eco round, rounds, 3 wins for Wolves, 2 for Heretics. Half bye, 7 wins for Wolves, 3 for Heretics, and for those full buys, 16 wins for Wolves, 14 for Heretics. So Heretics, after their glorious return to the international stage, end up going out very early. A very rough 2 games from them. I was hoping that they would at least get to playoffs, but they got outclassed by 2 pretty good teams. Wolves absolutely deserved this one. They played quite well during this tournament. There was a chance they could have beat Sentinels. They did play great during that match, but they end up recovering in the lower half of Swiss. They're going to be playing Bilibili, so we'll see how that goes for them. They lost that one last time, so we will see what they can do, but for Heretics, their story for Toronto is done. Moving on to the last match we have to talk about, we have Team Liquid versus MIBR, where one EMEA team does poorly, another one does quite well. Team Liquid, with the glorious return of Nats, end up closing this one out to keep their tournament alive, and also doing some pretty interesting things, taking something from Pacific's playbook and swapping out players in between maps, having Penny play map 1 and then having Serial swap in map 2. Very interesting strategy for them. Clearly it threw MIBR off, and they get a pretty clean, pretty quick 2-0 victory, and MIBR are out. Ospas did not show up to this tournament in peak form. He looked quite rough, but at the same time, no one on MIBR aside from Verno really looked good at all this entire tournament. Ospas teams continue to underperform in second tournaments of the year. I'm now going to write that down in things I have to remember for tournaments, because now it has happened every time Ospas has been at a second Masters of the year, so now I gotta keep track of it. Now moving on to the actual match. Now I wasn't able to watch all of this one, mostly just the second half of this map, so I'm not gonna be as detailed for this match as I was for the other one, so apologies for that, but I'll still go through it. But to keep this one simple, Team Liquid start this one off strong. They win the first 2 rounds. A good pistol parlays that into a strong anti-eco. MIBR would end up taking the lead, trying to have a bounce back map, and they're on Icebox. That was their domain. At least it used to be, because Team Liquid clearly has figured something out. Team Liquid win 2 rounds in a row with some good retakes. MIBR can't get more than 1 round in a row after that 3-round streak. They end the half 7-5 in favor of Team Liquid. MIBR on the back foot. For that second pistol, it's a really close pistol round, but it ends up going the way of Team Liquid after a 1v1 with Verno versus Kiko. As I said before, Verno looking like the only MIBR player that really showed up. Ospas was looking really rough up until this point. He did not have a good map at all this tournament. He had a couple good rounds here and there. Case in point, MIBR's only round of the second half, round 15. Ospas gets a 4K onto A to retake the site. He had a really good spray transfer there, so kudos to him for that one, but that was all we really got. Because round 16, Ospas gets caught on the lurk. Camo gets a nice snap. Team Liquid take that one with relative ease, and Team Liquid continue to just run circles around MIBR for the next few rounds. Round 19 would be the last one. Nats gets a 3K through a Viper's Pit and ends the map MIBR in shambles on their map pick and the map that they were undefeated on. Looking at the team MVPs, Kiko, 14 kills for him. Nats, really good return for him, 15 kills. Also shout out Penny, tying Nats for a top frag as well. And then MIBR scoreline, oh boy, so Verno did well, 16 kills, he was +4. Ospas didn't even break 10 kills. I think at the end of the first half he had 5 kills, so that 4K he got ended up being the last time he got a kill. Oh my god, I picked him to be the #1 player at this tournament, and just post your comments, just whatever, man. Moving on to map 2, would things get better for MIBR? Not really. This one would be 13-7 in favor of Team Liquid. This was a map that MIBR looked very rough against Gen.G on, and I guess they did make the proper adjustments. Team Liquid would yet again take that pistol. They then win their anti-eco. The MIBR doing what they did on Icebox. They win the next 3 rounds, so now they have the lead. But again, would not last for much time at all, because yet again, they can't win more than 1 round in a row after that. There's a little bit of a back and forth, but Team Liquid are winning 2 rounds in a row. MIBR only winning 1. The half ends up being 7-5, 3 rounds to start the defense side for Team Liquid. Yet again, just nothing going right for MIBR at this stage. They get a round win at round 16 and round 18, but 2 round wins in a row for Team Liquid at round 19 and round 20. This one's done. MIBR are out. Kiko, yet again, doing a good job here. 17 kills. He was tied with Camo. And MIBR, Verno, 19 kills for him. Where's the rest of the team? I guess Cortezia did all right with 12 kills. He's also a rookie, so I'm not going to put too much on him, but Ospas, 10 kills, man. 10 kills. Where? Like, I knew there was a good chance MIBR would go out early, so I'm not necessarily mad about that, but I thought at least Ospas would, like, I don't know, have a good map? I don't know, man. I'm not trying to single him out or anything, but he's one of the best players of all time. I swear. Anyways, looking at the team MVPs on the side of Team Liquid, we have Kiko, who went 31, 20, and 9 for plus 11. On the side of MIBR, Verno, 35, 20, and 15 for plus 17. Pistols, 0 for MIBR, 4 for Team Liquid. Eco Rounds, 4 for Team Liquid, 0 for MIBR. Half buy, 7 for Team Liquid, 4 for MIBR, and full buys, 14 for Team Liquid, 9 for MIBR. So that is the second Masters in a row where an America's team ended up going 0 and 2. Maybe that's just a rule that we have this year, but it is a thing that has happened in previous years. Remember good examples like the GAR going out 0 and 2, XSEC going out 0 and 2. Most recently we had Sentinels going out 0 and 2 in Bangkok. So maybe MIBR are sacrificial lambs, especially with the fact that OSPOS seems to have a team that goes out early in the second tournament of the year. I do like MIBR, and I know that they're better than this. I was hoping they would go farther, but again, kudos to Team Liquid. They played awesome. Honestly, really like the strategy of swapping out Penny for Serial. I was really curious to see that Penny was in the lineup during that first map, but it ended up working like a charm. So we'll see if this team can get to the playoff stage. They're up against Paper X. They've never faced each other, so this is going to be a pretty crucial match. Very curious to see how this one goes. Let me know in the comments down below. What did you think of all of these matches? And also let me know, what do you guys think of what I'm doing now for these game recaps? So I used to not take a lot of notes and just try to remember the match and just go off of it and just talk about whatever moment that I could, but trying to be a bit more detailed for this tournament. So let me know if you guys like the longer match recaps video or if the shorter ones are a bit better for you. So let me know what you think, and let me know anything about these matches that you want to talk about. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.